Hello, my name is Susan. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to film my fabric stash tour. I previously mentioned that I got rid of a lot of fabrics before moving to Rotterdam, but I also brought quite a few with me. Some of these you'll have seen before in a couple other videos. Some of them you have not. I will specify and point you in the direction of those other videos along the way. I'm really excited to film this video. I love fabrics. It might be one of my favorite things about sewing. I got my nails all ready, and then if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I dealt with a small electrical fire on my sewing machine yesterday. Long story short, we thought that it could handle the voltage difference here, and it can't. So I chipped this nail, and you know what? That's life. There are much worse things than chipping a nail and filming it. So I've kind of organized this video into 3 sections. I'm going to start with unspecified projects. They're fabrics I love. I don't really know exactly what I want to do with them yet. Fabrics that I have kind of a general idea of where they're going to go, and then fabrics that actually have dedicated projects. So this could be a long video. Grab a snack, grab a drink. I know I have a drink near me because I'm going to do a lot more talking than I typically do in a day. And let's get into it with the unknown projects. All the fabrics that have an unknown project are wool fabrics. I'm not going to continue repeating that over and over again unless there's it's a particular kind of wool fabric. First, I have this wool, which is designer Deadstock from Stone Mountain Daughter in Berkeley, California. If you are ever in that area, or if you can just order from their website and you're in the States, they are an amazing store. I bought this specifically to do the Butterick B6955 View B, and I'll be popping pictures of patterns into the video unless I actually physically have the pattern, then I'll show them. This is one of the patterns that I decluttered from my stash before moving because I just didn't see where dresses were going to really fit into my daily life, particularly like a wool kind of corporate job kind of dress. So I have it. I do not know what I'm going to do with it, but it's a lovely fabric. I have enough that there's several options I could do with it. I just haven't really been inspired by anything for it lately. All right, the next 5 fabrics are actually all vintage Pendleton wool. I've mentioned it before, but I have a friend back in California that I went to school with, hi Greta, if you're watching, that gifted me a ton of wools that came out of her mother's stash when she was trying to downsize. She knows that I love tailoring, which means I love working with wools. So she very kindly gave me a ton of fabrics. I did not bring all of them with me. I donated a lot of them to my school for future tailoring courses, but that is where all these next ones came from. So first is this beautiful pink, blue, fuchsia check. I have enough that I think I can make a blazer out of it. I think that is probably what it will be, but I don't have a particular pattern in mind. I don't really have a vision of what that pattern would look like. It definitely is not, I don't have enough fabric to make a whole suit. I was thinking about combining it with this next fabric, which is kind of a berry red check, but I got them out and I looked at them together. Oops, sorry, I'm gonna hit my camera probably several times this video. And they're not similar enough that they coordinate, but they're not different enough that they coordinate, so I think I have to scrap that plan. This is, again, just a beautiful vintage Pendleton wool. I think it will be a jacket. I might have enough to make a jacket and a skirt. Who knows what it'll be? Nothing's quite spoken to me yet, but the fabric is gorgeous. Now this is a boucle, this beautiful red. It almost has like a black cast to it when you see it in person, which I think is particularly beautiful. Now, being a boucle wool, I feel like it really lends itself to a Chanel style jacket. And while I love a Chanel style jacket, I don't feel particularly inspired by that for this fabric. So I've got plenty of firm plans, so I don't really need to make those decisions now, but it is so beautiful. The second to last of the unknown category is this kind of oxblood. And sorry if the light changes. I'm working with mostly artificial light, but sun is going to go in and out today, as it does in the spring here. Anyway, it is this beautiful oxblood wool crepe. Now, I thought about making a coat out of this, or part of a coat out of this, but I kind of re-looked at it. Being a crepe, it has a really nice drape to it. I think it would fit better probably for some suiting. I think I might have enough to make a jacket and pants, or a jacket and skirt. Again, not sure. Now, I thought I actually did know what I was going to do with this fabric, and that was combine it with this beautiful bold striped wool that very much says coat to me. So I thought it could be cool to combine these two and do kind of like a contrasting sleeve and collar, but the colors don't quite work as well together as I would like. I think they match kind of better on camera, but also the drape is really different on them. Now, I could reinforce this one to stand up to this one, but with the colors not being really what I would want them to be in terms of contrast, that is just not going to happen. That being said, I do see this very much as a coat rather than like a jacket or blazer. Again, nothing specific yet, but it's so beautiful and bold, and I love these colors on me, so I brought it with me. Okay, so that is everything for the I really don't know yet category. So now I'm going to move on to the vague ideas category. The first 6 of these, again, they're all the vintage Pendleton wools. The first is this incredibly bright and bold, fantastic check. I immediately fell in love with this fabric. I mean, I love these colors. I love the boldness. I really think I want to do a suit with a pleated wide leg trouser with this. Probably a single-breasted jacket and a wide leg trouser. I am a little bit worried that I don't have quite enough to pattern match, especially because this is such a large pattern. So I kind of need to think about that. Hopefully you'll see me update along the way with what projects I do. This is another beautiful wool. It is this kind of mustard and taupe color with some cream, and then the stripes is this like teal and kind of true blue. It's a very 70s. I think I might do something a little bit 70s inspired in terms of suiting. I love 70s suiting. I love leisure suits. I think they're so fun and so bold. I don't want to do something too on the nose, too costumey, but maybe just a little bit like maybe the Western inspired details you see in some of the leisure suiting. Again, we shall see. I don't plan on specifying any of the meterage or the width on these fabrics. I do have them all logged into Threadloop, and I will link my fabric stash on Threadloop in the comments, not in the comments, in the description. It is public. It is up to date. It doesn't have every single detail like composition or weave or anything like that, but you can basically see, and if you want to comb through there and give me ideas, especially on the unknowns, awesome. I will take them. The meterage is going to be kind of weird because these were all bought in the US, so they were purchased in yards. I switched to meters since I prefer working in meters and centimeters. It just makes more sense to me, even though I was born and raised in the US. That's probably the science background speaking. So if anything seems kind of weird, that's probably why. But yes, you can find all those details there. The next one is, again, a wool. It's this kind of herringbone pattern, tonal pattern. I have a ton of this fabric. I'm not gonna unfurl it all because it was a lot to fold up myself, but I can probably make either 2 different kinds of jackets and a pair of pants, or 1 jacket and 2 pants, or pant and a skirt, or maybe I could do like a waistcoat, like a full 3-piece suit. I don't know. I kind of want to do, I mentioned a Chanel jacket earlier with that red boucle. I feel like this could also work for a Chanel style jacket. I feel a little bit more of that vibe with this one than I do the boucle, even though I feel like the boucle is maybe a little more on the nose, but you know, we don't always want to be on the nose. So still figuring out. I've got a lot to work with. I don't have to pattern match, which means it's a lot more flexible. So we will see what it ends up being. This is a beautiful ecru twill. Kind of see the drape here. So I'm pretty sure I want to do a skirt suit with this. I have this pattern, which is the Vogue V1932, which is a reprint from 1949. I think this could look really nice in this suit, but I'm not 100% sold on the idea. I might do like it shows here and do maybe the ecru jacket and then a black skirt in the fabric that I previously showed. Just not quite sure. So I have 3 separate pieces of this, which will also make cutting a little bit harder, but definitely should have enough to at least make the jacket, especially because I'm short. So I had to take like, you know, at like 10 centimeters or more off of anything that I make. This is another really 70s kind of color, 70s style wool. This teal and brown, again, it makes me think of leisure suits. I love this so much. I was thinking about doing something leisure suit inspired with this, but I'm worried it'll be too costumey, even if I really tone down the details. I also think it could be fun to do a very like English style suit. It would be kind of a very modern dandy option. So right now I'm leaning more the modern dandy way, but we shall see what actually comes up once I'm ready to actually cut into it. See, just a close up, it actually even has some orange details. So super 70s colors, love them. This is a beautiful basket weave wool. Again, it's a vintage Pendleton. I definitely want to make a coat out of this. So I'm thinking either like a cocoon coat or something cropped with like an oversized lapel. I'll put some pictures on the screen to give an idea. This is not a reversible fabric, but the reverse side is kind of interesting. So I think I could do decorative inverted seams on it. I think that could be fun. Again, haven't settled on either a pattern or if I'm going to draft something, but I kind of like the idea of having the decorative seam on that one. All right, this is a silk jersey, which if you've never felt silk jersey, it is, oh, it's a treat. I just want to like play with the fabric and touch it all day. It's just so, I feel so luxurious. Anyway, this is a remnant I got from Stone Mountain Daughter. I've mentioned them before, not only in this video, but other videos. I definitely see this being some kind of wrap top. I don't have a lot of fabric. A top is all I'm going to get out of it. I mean, I guess I could get a skirt, but I think a top could be much more interesting. But it's just this bold floral print with these different colors that kind of contrast but work so well together. And it's just, again, it's just beautiful to feel. This is an end of bolt cotton lawn I got from Stone Mountain Daughter out of their sale section. I just love the print. It's actually one that I bought even after knowing we were moving overseas because I was just obsessed with it. I've got 2 ideas with what to do with this. Either asymmetrical, like one shoulder sleeveless kind of vintage top along the lines of Simplicity S9634 View C, or recently Puff and Pencil released the drop top, which is an off-the-shoulder woven with a ruched waistline that I think could be really pretty. I appreciate that the underarms on the pattern aren't super dropped, which means it can be worn under things more easily. So those are kind of the ideas I'm toying with for this one, but nothing confirmed yet. This is a 1x1 wool ribbing, stretch ribbing that has kind of some black yarns when it's kind of stretched out. So I bought this from Salvage and Bolts, specifically for the Vicky So's Eliza dress. I think I was really feeling myself when I bought that pattern. It's probably a little more showy than I would typically wear. That being said, I still really like it. I'm getting a lot more confident in my body recently, so I think that it could still be an option, but I am kind of torn between doing that dress or something more like the Vicky So's Hazel dress, which is just the classic off the shoulder, nice wintry dress. Now, if I go with the Hazel dress idea, I will just self-draft. I have a knit sloper that I need to do a little bit of rework on, but shouldn't take me too long. But this is also like my absolute favorite color to wear. I have my reception dress for my wedding, I'll put a picture in, was very, very similar to this color. And I think it's like, I think it might be the best color on me. This next one is a beautiful Japanese cotton that I got from Needle Studio in Los Altos, California, back when I was living nearby. Just fell in love with it. When I first bought this, I was sure I was going to do a duplicate of a Rouge Paris dress, tie front dress that I own. I will put in B-roll so you can see what that looks like. I could not find a picture of it online. Editing Susan here. So the reason I couldn't find a photo of this dress is because it's not by Rouge Paris, it's by Marie Paris. It is the Francois dress. It's not currently available on their site, but I think they do bring it out around summer. I'm not sure about in this colorway, but here is a picture of it from an editorial by the French. But then Just Patterns released the Naomi dress, which is this beautiful V-neck button down, and it's very much a dress that I do want to make. I just haven't decided if I will make it in this fabric or go with my original idea. I have worked with Just Patterns before, and they are very well written. They are not going to be the kind of hold your hand pattern, so just be aware of that if you are interested. But they're clear, they're concise, which is how I prefer my patterns. My sewing patterns, at least. Knitting, I need a lot more help. But this is a beautiful Japanese cotton. It's got the ecru and black with the primary blue, red, and yellow. And it's just gorgeous. This is a vintage bar cloth that I believe is from the 1950s. I bought it from a fabric dealer in the UK who is unfortunately no longer in business, but I just love the bold floral of it. I was originally going to make a silver saga dress. I cannot for the life of me remember what it's called, but I'll enter it. And I got to thinking, and I don't know if that's like super my style. And I've got quite a bit of fabric, definitely more than I would need for that pattern. So I'm thinking about making the Vogue V1870, which is a pattern I have actually made before. I'll put in a photo. I would definitely way crop the length, and I would not do the flap pockets. I would just do a welt pocket. But I really need to think about how the pattern pieces are going to fit on this large scale, and if it really makes sense for this kind of project. I think it could be cool to put this, you know, going down the lapel and these kind of things on either side, but because of the fitting of the jacket and the pattern piecing, I'm just not sure it's going to be super suitable. So we shall see. But this fabric is just so stunning to me, and I've never worked with bark cloth before. Apparently it's not very common anymore. This is a silk file from Stone Mountain and Daughter. It's this turkey tail mushroom kind of abstract print with these beautiful soft colors. Now when I started getting my notes together to film this I was sure what this was going to be. And then Just Patterns released the Giselle shirt, and I can't remember their name offhand, but they did a version in organza, which has a fairly similar feel to File. And I thought that was gorgeous. So I'm going to show you what I'm thinking of, what I was sure I was going to do, and then what now I'm kind of thinking about. So last week I was sure I was going to do it in this Simplicity reprint from the 1950s, S9810, in either view 1 or 2. I bought this fabric for this pattern, so again, that's what I was sure of. After seeing that release, I realized I had this pattern in my stash, the Vogue Options V8772. I do not know if I would want to do this with the pussy bow blouse or just the simple button down. I think either way it could look really beautiful, but I'm quite torn between these two with this one. This pattern will come up again, so I will show you the fabric I have that I will be doing this pattern in, and maybe I will make my mind up after that. So that is everything in the vague ideas category. So I'm going to go on to concrete plans. I have further subdivided this into jackets, shirts, skirts, dresses, and then some stuff for my husband. Sorry if you hear Winston chatting in the background. If I completely wait for him to not make any noise while filming, I will never, ever get filming done. So if you watch my spring plans video, you will actually have seen this fabric before. This is again a vintage Pendleton wool. It is a black and ecru check. I will insert the same B-roll. I am going to copy a coat that I found at a thrift store in Amsterdam. I'm going to go from coat to blazer, and then I really hope to do the Lure PR tulip pants to coordinate. I'm not 100% sure I will have enough fabric after matching. So if I don't have enough for that, I will self-draft some cigarette pants, because I also think that would look great with a double-breasted blazer. These are curtains that my mother-in-law made. They are a polyester velvet, and you can kind of see it on camera. They actually have this kind of, I don't want to call it a burnout floral because that would be incorrect, but the nap of the velvet has been pushed in such a way that it has this floral motif to it in the right lighting. This is going to be a Maison Fauve Metropolis jacket. I definitely have enough of these curtains. I really love the design of this jacket. I really like a lot of the patterns that they put out, though they were quite difficult to get a hold of in the US. I don't know if that's easier now. I'm not currently buying a lot of patterns because, much like fabrics, I have plenty. And on top of that, I need to do more self-drafting to build my portfolio. But yes, this velvet will eventually be the Metropolis jacket. And just as an addition, I have made a Maison Fauve pattern before. Again, these are not patterns that are going to hold your hand. They're very clear, they're very concise. I would call them well written, but not necessarily beginner friendly. This is a designer Deadstock that I bought from Stone Mountain and Daughter. I have worked with this fabric before. I made the Protea pants by Paradise Patterns. I'll put in a picture of me wearing those pants. I actually just wore them the other day to an interview. I love them. This is going to be a waistcoat, a vest to coordinate with those. This is all leftover from the pants. I bought excess to make sure I could pattern match the pants. I do not think I'm going to have enough to make the back of the vest in this same fabric, which is fine. I will just duplicate the lining. I was thinking maybe the Just Patterns Veronica vest, and maybe more likely I will end up self-drafting. All right, so that's all in the jackets and vest category, I mentioned I would be bringing this pattern back, the Simplicity S981, and that will be going with this beautiful blue and white with red eyelash shirting that I bought from Stone Mountain and Daughter. This is, again, fabric I bought specifically for this pattern. I'm hoping to make this up ahead of the summer. I might use this as a project to kind of learn how to use my new machine, which I was able to actually order yesterday after the small electrical fire on the previous one. I think it could be a good kind of beginner project for that machine versus some of the things I have planned for my spring plans, which are a full-on suit or a bias cut slip dress. We'll see, how froggy I'm feeling when that does come up. Now, this is an unknown fabric. I did a burn test. It burns like cotton, but to me, just feeling in my hands, it feels more like a viscose or rayon, but it is the super fun polka dot blue with these bold flowers. I got this at a store called Fabmo, which is a creative reuse store in the Bay Area, down in Sunnyvale. It's a fantastic resource if you are nearby. And I got the pattern I'm going to use with it at the same store. And it's this very easy Vogue 8423 vintage pattern, no longer in print. 1992, which I think just by looking at it, you can see very 90s. So what I want to do is I want to do probably view B, but maybe modify for the view A buttons. I don't think that would be difficult. And I also want to do short sleeve, and it would kind of be like a fun take on a Hawaiian shirt to me. I think it could be a lot of fun. I also have some buttons I think might work, again from Fabmo, but we will see in the long run. All right, the next one is going to be a self-drafted project. Now this is a silk, I think it's a silk de chine that I got off the free shelf back at my school. What I want to do with this is draft a halter that is the same style as Grace Kelly wears with this white shirt that I'll put in under this green suit in Rear Window. The costuming in that movie, it's a great movie. The costuming in that movie is also amazing. I get a lot of inspiration from random places, but also vintage film is probably my favorite. I'll watch anything for the costuming, but it's this beautiful silk with this kind of, the print is a little camp, which I love. Fashion, fashion should be fun. There's so much in life that is serious. Like, it doesn't hurt to add a little humor into your everyday wear. So I'll talk about these two fabrics together. They are both polyester jacquard, Deadstock Carolina Herrera from Mood Fabrics, and they are destined to be the same thing, which is view A of this B5935 Butterick pattern. So this guy, I really like the idea of layering a corset over kind of an oversized white button down. I think that could be a really fun look with some trousers. I used to be really, really bold with how I dressed, especially in middle school and high school. Some things happened in life along the way that made me a bit more shy and definitely conservative about my body. But I'm getting back into, feeling like myself again and being really wanting to just have fun with my clothes. So I think these could be a good way to do that. This gorgeous silk tartan fabric, I got this on the free shelf at my school before moving to Rotterdam, and this is going to be, not anytime soon, but this will be a Vivienne Westwood style draped corset. This is one you would have seen in my spring plans video. It's not really showing how beautiful this chocolate color is on the screen on the camera, but it's this really beautiful chocolate. This is a crepe back satin. It is silk, amazing drape. It is going to be a Saatchi skirt by Vicky Sews. I've made one before. It needs some fit modifications, especially now that my body's changed since moving. That's fine. I don't think it'll be too terribly difficult. I also thought about maybe making this my first project on my new machine, but bias can get a little weird, especially when the fabric is as slinky as a crepe back satin, what we shall see. This is another silk that I got this from Selvage and Bolts. Sorry if the lighting has changed. I was having a really hard time getting this to be color true. Same with the last one on camera. So I'm doing my best with the artificial lighting. Anywho, this is a beautiful silk with this bold floral and stripe. It's got the orange in there, this chartreuse, peach, and purple. This is also destined to be a sautee skirt. It's such, I love a bias cut piece. I love a bias cut skirt. It's just very much a staple, I feel like, it can be a staple in the wardrobe. This is slightly less drapey than the crepe back satin. This might be easier to work with, but I really feel this more for summer. I would like the brown skirt sooner. Again, we will see what happens. All right, this is the last one in the skirt section. This maybe should go slightly more into vague plans because frankly, I'm not 100% sure I am going to have enough of this fabric to make what I want to make out of it. But it's this beautiful, very true red with a black and white check. And currently I am planning on doing this Vogue pattern reprint from 1987, the year I was born, V2102. I would like to do view C, but without the pockets. You can see it a little bit better here in the line drawing. I am not sure if I will do the flounce, we'll call it a flounce, on the back of the skirt. I think I want to do this upper half on the straight grain and then the lower half on the bias. So I really wouldn't need this in order to be able to walk easily. I might change that. I might do the triangle on the bias and then this on the straight grain, in which case I would need to either include the flounce or add a kick pleat. But that is currently the plan with this guy. Oh, and I forgot to mention, this is another vintage Pendleton wool. So actually this is the last of the skirt material. If you watched my Dream Makes, you'll have seen this fabric before. I got it on the free shelf at my school back in California. It is actually an upholstery fabric, but what I want to do with this guy is make a long column skirt a la Anne Hathaway at the 2025 Met Gala, and I want to do full beading along the edges of the stripe and probably the white as well, or maybe just the white, or maybe just the colors, or maybe I do the entire thing in black. I'm not 100% sure. It will be a column skirt with some amount of beading. Still not sure on the bias or horizontal or vertical. It is very firm. It is not going to stretch out on the bias. So I feel really confident that I can weigh this down with beads, and given maybe a little extra understructure, which would be easy enough to put in, could be a very fun skirt for a special occasion. It should one ever come, and if not, it would just be something epic to put into my portfolio. All right, now we are on to dresses. I do not wear a lot of dresses. I love making dresses. I love the idea of wearing dresses. I'm hoping now that I don't work in a lab, I will probably wear dresses more often, but I'm going to show you 3 fabrics, and they are all for this pattern, which is a Vogue American designer Donna Karan V2784. It is no longer in print. I actually found this I was able to find this on eBay, and much to my delight, I actually got the pattern came with the main fabric that the dress was made in. Now on a burn test, this is a polyester, which I'm not surprised by. As you can see, it is sheer with these fun little sequins. I think this is just going to be, I mean, it's such a fun dress on the cover. Why wouldn't it also be a fun dress on me? I have a silk charmeuse to do the contrast bias binding. I am thinking I might try to do the gelatin trick, because creating bias binding on silk charmeuse sounds like a bit of a nightmare, but it's the fabric I bought because maybe I'm a bit of a masochist. So if anybody's used the gelatin trick to stiffen up fabric, do let me know. And I'm sorry for this, I actually ironed all these fabrics before I did this video, but then I got delayed in filming this video, so this is super wrinkled. The next two are actually going to be super wrinkled. But this is a sand wash silk Deadstock from Amour Vert, which is a Bay Area company that I bought from Stone Mountain Daughter. Both the sand wash silk and the silk charmeuse are from Stone Mountain and Daughter. So this will be the slip dress that goes under the main dress, the sheer dress. All right, this is looking a lot more orange on camera than it is. It is a more orange red, but it's much more red than it's currently looking. This is a beautiful viscose, maybe viscose cotton that I got from Stone Mountain and Daughter, again in Berkeley, and this is going to be a bias slip dress. Now I will either do this bias strip dress from this pattern, or I might modify it slightly and do a cowl, or instead of the kind of V-neck that this one has, but that should not be too difficult. Drafting for bias cut garments is not as good as draping them, but I feel with the pattern already mostly settled, I think it could be decently achievable. But it's just this beautiful, vibrant red with these gorgeous roses on it. All right. This fabric is just, I saw it and it was expensive and I couldn't live without it. This is another silk charmeuse from Stone Mountain and Daughter. And when I saw this, I knew exactly what this dress had to be. It was a dress that I made back in either late middle school or early high school. I unfortunately don't have pictures of me in that dress. And it is this one. It is Givenchy, Alexander McQueen for Givenchy for Vogue 2157. When I saw this fabric, I knew it had to be this dress. I called up my mom and I asked her to look, and I sent her a photo of the pattern, and I asked her to look for the pattern or the dress I made from it. She's very, very good about keeping patterns. In fact, when we moved in with her temporarily before moving to Rotterdam, I found a couple that I had previously made and stored those away and brought them with me, though they won't appear in this video. I did the dress originally in, I'm sure it was a polyester, but it was black with big white flowers. She couldn't find the pattern or the dress, so I spent too much money buying this pattern, but I regret nothing because it's just going to be so gorgeous. Oh, I'm so excited. This is also not my size, so I'm going to have to scale it up. Thankfully, I know the maths for that, and I will definitely do a toile before I cut into this fabric since it's not replaceable. The next one is this fun red. Now this red is actually reading really well on camera with this white ditzy floral. It is, I believe, a viscose that I bought from Needles Studio in Los Altos. And with this, I am going to make this Burda 3222 option B dress. I remember watching Armageddon probably shortly after it came out, and there is a scene, it's the animal cracker scene. I'll see if I can put in footage.
I got like a little animal cracker Discovery Channel thing happening right here.
And I've been obsessed with that dress since I saw it. I got this pattern at Fabmo, and I just knew I wanted to basically make that like ultimate 90s dress. So this is definitely going to, I think, come back on my summer plans when it's time to plan for that. This dress is also going to be made in this beautiful sheer silk, which is a designer Deadstock that I bought from Mood some time ago. I have way more yardage for this than I need for this dress, so I'm not quite sure what the rest of it will be, but I think it will be a very fun, beautiful piece in this same dress. It is sheer, so I will be using that same bias cut slip dress pattern from the Donna Karan and using this cotton linen blend from Needle Studio as the undergarment for it. It will also be just a nice standalone little white dress. This next fabric is very special to me. This is a African wax print that my stepmom brought home from Kenya for me when she visited there. It's this beautiful green. Again, I think it's just one of the best colors on me. The motif reminded both of us of the California poppy, so I love that. And this I want to make a vintage 1954 Vogue by Schiaparelli dress out of. I will put an image on the screen. This pattern is currently available from the vintage pattern. I will link it down in the description. Now, the top pattern size is considerably smaller than my bust size. So I'm very much torn between purchasing the pattern and scaling it up or trying to self-draft. Honestly, both seem super challenging. The pattern actually shows what the pieces look like on the back, and I'm having a hard time visualizing how to put it together from there. It would certainly help me draft it, but I'm no Elsa Schiaparelli. I'm not even trying to be. So torn between exactly how I will achieve that, but I just think this pattern and that dress would look stunning together. This is a beautiful, again, I think it's a viscose. It might be a cotton viscose blend. It is much more of a deep burnt orange in life than it's currently reading on camera. There, that is more true to it. Still a little bit deeper than it's looking. This is going to be a self-drafted bias cut dress with a scandalously low back. I will insert a photo of basically what I'm thinking. I might try to add a drape to it. Again, I do not have a mannequin to drape on. I know that pattern making from a sloper is not necessarily the way to go with bias cut dress. Maybe one day I will have a mannequin that is my size, but that is what this fabric is destined to be. That is what it was for when I bought it, and I still love the idea. The next fabric is going to be the last of the dresses section and the transition into the items I'm going to make for my husband. And it is this beautiful Lady McElroy linen viscose blend, again from Stone Mountain and Daughter. I saw this and I immediately wanted to do something like the Reformation Woodson dress. I have this McCall's pattern M8033. I am basically looking at just using this pattern and doing some insertion lace along the top like the Woodson dress, maybe at the waist, and then it has this tiers here, and I think I would just do the same thin insertion lace between the tiers. I definitely am not going to make it full length, probably a midi length, but that is what most of this fabric will be. The other thing that this fabric is going to be is a Fairfield button-up for my husband from Thread Theory Designs. I actually also purchased this pattern at Stone Mountain and Daughter. He wants this in the version 2 short sleeve. I don't think we're gonna be wearing them at the same time. We're not really one of those couples. More power to you if you are, but I think it'll be beautiful in both forms, and I am excited to find the right lace and make this up closer to summer. The next two fabrics are also going to be a short sleeve Fairfield shirt. The first is this viscose, actually designed for lining. It's a viscose twill by Lady McElroy. Again, bought this at Stone Mountain and Daughter. And it will be that Fairfield shirt. It has these fun little paisley / check. It's just a really fun fabric. This will also be a Fairfield button-up. This is a sandwash silk. It is a Deadstock Vert from Stone Mountain and Daughter. It has such a luxurious feel to it. Pink is an incredible color on him. Honestly, he looks good in a lot of colors. It makes me rather jealous. So this will be a fun one. I think he'll get a lot of use out of. And the final three fabrics you will have seen if you watched my spring plans. And they are going to be a jacket for my husband from this Burda style 6351. I was actually pulled out the toile for this yesterday. I was going to finish that up and fit it on him. That's when everything happened with the sewing machine and the electrical fire. So that obviously didn't happen, but I did get the toile out. It was further along than I expected. I got it pressed, so it's more or less ready to go once I get my new machine. All these fabrics are from Stone Mountain and Daughter. So the main fabric is going to be this brown. It's kind of an orangey brown, not showing well on camera, but it's an orangey brown, nice, thick, durable canvas. He wanted the, so we're doing view B. He wanted a contrast collar, cuff, and waistband, I guess. So I'm going to do this large whale cotton corduroy for that. And then for the lining, it is a beautiful Lady McElroy viscose. Great drape to it. I feel like this could also be a really great shirt for him, but I only have enough to make the lining. And it's going to be fun peeking out from the brown. Well, that is all I have for you today. I've been recording for almost an hour, so I'm going to sit down and probably drink some hot tea. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, any of my videos. If you could do like, comment, subscribe, I would really appreciate it. If you have any ideas for what to do with the fabrics that are especially in my don't really know category, do let me know. And again, you can also find me on Threadloop for all of my fabrics and sewing projects and things like that. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.